Hello everyone, Mark Rhoden here again with another feature race preview. This week, naturally enough, it's the Golden Slipper. Richest two-year-old race in the world, of course. Big field as always, full field of 16, 3 emergencies. Been wet in Sydney over the last days or week or so. Seems to be improving. Chance of showers or the odd thunderstorm over the next day or so, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. It's a heavy 9 at the moment, but with warm weather it should improve maybe to an 8 or a 7 with luck if it doesn't rain again. So that's what I'm working on. So certainly affected, but not as bad as it was at Rosehill last Saturday, where it was very wet indeed. If you've been watching these previews, hopefully you'll be familiar to some extent with my sheets, and I won't need to explain them in too much detail. As I've mentioned previously, there are other videos and podcasts which go into more detail on how these sheets are used, which you can search if you need to. Anyway, we'll start by having a look at my speed map for the Slipper. In both the map and the market, I've left the emergencies out. Nothing's going to scratch from a race like this unless they have to, unless there's an issue. So just for now, we'll assume they aren't going to make the field. A bit of pace, particularly out wide. Vincere Valare, Queenslander, should press on, free of debt as well. Was right up in the place in the Blue Diamond. Kiamichi led all the way last week. Drawn wide, probably has to go forward. Beyond those, we've got horses like Microphone and Cosmic Force, two of the favourites drawn 1 and 2. I would expect them to be looking to get off the fence as soon as possible. Being rails in run may not be disastrous, but you certainly want to be getting off the fence in the straight when Rosehill's in this sort of condition. Time to Rain and Anahid look to get good runs. Dubious is in a bit of trouble from out there. We'll need luck. Catch Me, blinkers off, crucially. Trialled without blinkers since over racing in them in the Blue Diamond. So ridden conservatively. Pinsec, probably off the fence actually, not there. Tenley will be in the midfield, maybe in the second half from good draws. Liar, I think, goes back, as does Loving Gabby and Exhilarates. Yes. He's such a talented colt. He's just had no lucky barrier here at all. I think if they go right back, that makes his task very hard. And if they push on to sort of put him in the race, then he's going to need a hell of a lot of luck to get in somewhere midfield with the trail. Bishin's a very good jockey. It's certainly not impossible, but that's the task he's faced with. All right, we'll go through them runner by runner. Starting number 1, Yes. He won the right lead-up race, the Todman Stakes. Of the last number of years, the Slipper winners come through either the Todman or the Riesling Slipper trial, run on the same day, 2 weeks before. That seems to be the perfect preparation. So he brings the right form line. The barrier is the big minus. Also, on his ratings so far, they're not at the level of other horses in the field, like Microphone, for instance. The 2-year-olds, they just keep improving. You know, they're mostly untapped. He was certainly on that upward spiral. He was unsuited in the Todman, got well back and looked like they were just going to let him find the line and just ran past him. It was an outstanding performance. He's got another level in him, which would be good enough to win this race. Whether he can produce it with the negatives, such as the barrier, is the question for him. He's so talented. I'm not saying for a moment he can't win. If things go right, he can, but you have to weigh all those things up, and I wouldn't want to be on him given the negatives. Moving on to number 2, Microphone. Just a tremendously professional 2-year-old. Settles, can do anything, put him anywhere in the run. You know, he'll race forward, switch, settles and kicks just perfect. You know, I think, you know, the one negative is the one barrier. I think if he somehow gets forced into staying on the fence, that could bring him undone. If Bowman's able to angle off before the turn or even cut the corner and get out. Horses have done that on slippers before and won. Overreach comes to mind. He's going to be very hard to beat because he just does nothing wrong. His figures are as good as, well, up for, competitive with anything that's raced in the 2-year-old ranks this season. He did this pretty softly in the Skyline, and his run down the straight was fantastic, and he just keeps going forward. Really has to be a great chance, and looks back all odds to me. I think I would rather be with him than against him at this stage. Certainly one of the leading chances. Next up, we have Time to Reign, who really announced himself in the Silver Slipper 2 runs back before something went wrong, obviously, against Yes in the Todman. He was favourite that day. I was actually on him, and he was just very disappointing, really. No trial or anything since. If all is well, he's competitive. He was, really did have the right progressive pattern before the last start failure. So I think a bit too much has to go right for him to win for me to be on him, but he has a chance if he can recapture that sort of upward spiral he was on before last start. Free of Debts, another improver. He's gone forward every start too, and trialled really well since his arrival in Sydney. Ran well, racing on the speed and the Blue Diamond. He really will have to take another step forward here again, and there really aren't many higher pressure races than a Golden Slipper for 2-year-olds, so he's going to have to cope with that and improve again. Nice horse, going in the right direction, but this looks too tough. Now, Cosmic Force. Well, on my ratings, that was his win last Saturday, and the Pago was the best 2-year-old performance of the season so far. It was absolutely dominant. He switched off with about 50 metres to go, and James McDonald was looking over both shoulders. It was ridiculously easy, and on figures, it was the best performance we've seen this year. The 7-day backup, is that a positive or a negative? Peter Snowden certainly knows what he's doing, knows how to win a slipper. It's such a spike performance on a very heavy track. There has to be some doubt about him reproducing it. If he does, he'll win. I really believe that. But the market certainly didn't miss that performance last week. He's clear favourite now. Drawn to get a good run from 2. Hopefully, he can get him off the fence. It's just that little. I mean, the niggle is, can he repeat such a big performance on a 7-day backup twice running? That's the question. On ability, deserves his favourite. Dubious, blinkers on, wide gates. Looked very good winning the Breeders' Plate back in the spring, which has often been a good guide to the good autumn 2-year-olds, but he hasn't really gone on from there. Nothing special about his Queensland runs. He sat wide and won at Eagle Farm in his first run up there, but that was a very weak race. Second in the Magic Millions, all right. And yes, pretty comfortably accounted for him in the Todman, and he's going to need luck from the gate. Yeah, I couldn't be with him. Liar, very nice 2-year-old who racing pattern tends to be the get back style and then hits the line very hard. Trialled nicely since he's been up here, and although he'll get back, he's got some sort of chance, I think. A middle pin chance, maybe not one of the leading 2 or 3 chances, but does have a chance. Lankan Star, good second in the Blue Diamond. That was her best run so far, and then didn't handle the heavy 10, I assume, last start. Beaten a long way. Did only start at $11 in that, so I wasn't really expected to be one of the, wasn't expected to be the winner of that race, and this is obviously much harder, so looks to have the job ahead here. Tenley is a definite chance. Unbeaten in 3 runs. McDonald sticks with her. Settles nicely and finds the line really well. Won the Riesling in slightly better time than Yes, Yes, Yes on the same day. Definitely drawn the right spot, it appears. Soft track, being by Medaglia d'Oro, won't be a problem at all. Rock solid, definite chance. Pinsec won the Black Opal by 4 lengths, looked pretty impressive. Figures-wise, there wasn't anything flash about it. I ran the same time as the maiden on the same day, more or less. It did win by 4 lengths, but the place getters, Roman and McLaren, really didn't go anywhere near their best, in my opinion. And if you watch the video, you can see before Pinsec descends on them, they're sort of fighting a race out and both really going up and down in the one spot. In Pinsec's favour is her upside. She's only had 2 starts, won them both. Certainly on the upward spiral, it appears. This is a massive step up in class, though, and I won't be with her. Anahid. Now, I'm a little bit interested in Anahid. She was certainly no match for Tenley in Rosehill last start, but this is a pattern we've seen before from this stable. I think it was Capitalist who was beaten in his final lead-up 2 weeks out, and then was able to bounce back to his best and win the Golden Slipper. Anahid's best, in fact, in winning the Sweet Embrace the start before, would make her competitive in this, and I think she's got a good place chance, at least, in this race, and she's probably over the odds. She had a good pattern before her, leading up to her Sweet Embrace win, and she's taken the backward step. Wouldn't be surprised if this camp could get her to bounce back to her best and she could run a good race. Kiyomichi, another one similar to Cosmic Force, who's pulled out the big run on the heavy track in the final lead-ups last Saturday. Has gone for it every start. That's a positive. Can't deny that. I'm worried about her racing pattern in that she likes to go forward and she's drawn quite wide. So I think with the speed inside her, she might find it a bit tough to reproduce that big figure, and I think she's probably vulnerable in this. Moving on to Catch Me, who was prior to the Blue Diamond podium, very high up in betting for the Blue Diamond, and was tipped for big things. Over-raced in that race, and then over-raced even more fiercely in the Blue Diamond itself with blinkers on. They've taken the blinkers off, and she's won a trial since, so I expect her to improve. Expect her to ride her conservatively and expect her to improve. I don't know whether she will improve enough to win this, though. Incero Valare, looks the speed in the race, and I would expect the pressure to get rid of her at this level. Exhilarates. Has had a fair bit of racing for a 2-year-old. They had to get her ready for the Magic Millions, so she had a bit of racing over the summer. And her first up run was good. I didn't really rate any of her summer performances that highly. There were always seemed to be 2-year-olds that were a level above her, but she keeps improving, which is a good sign. The wide barrier is going to make it very difficult, though. It looks like going back is the only option for her, and that's going to make it very hard for her to win. Now, here is one I am quite interested in, Loving Gabby. She just looks completely untapped. Brilliant debut winner at Caulfield last month from Off the Speed, then no luck at all in the Blue Diamond. Just really hard to know how much he's got left, or how much he had left to give in that race, but she was very unlucky and arguably should have won. Since then, she's come to Sydney, set up in the speed in a trial, was let off the bridle and put her rivals away. Obviously, there'll be a question mark over their ability, but this filly is just really on the upward spiral, totally untapped. Could definitely be a winning chance. Has a tricky gate to contend with. Sheen Murphy's come in from overseas to ride her. That could be enough to stop her, but I really want her. She's around $17 in the betting. I want her on side at that price just because of her immense ability, which is as yet untapped. A definite chance at a big price if she gets to like and running. Onto the emergencies. I haven't priced them yet. Bivouac actually beat Cosmic Force here at Warwick Farm 2 starts back. No match for Yes, Yes, Yes. Doesn't look good enough to me. Rome, awful in the Black Opal, would need to improve. Lengths and lengths and lengths. Have any chance in this? And Bellevue Hill on pace runner. If he gets a run, it'll add more tempo into the race. Probably comes up a bit early, and given his racing style, the pressure's going to make it difficult for him too. So just go back to the top sheet. So after all that, this is what I've come up with as a sort of first cut of my golden supermarket. Got Microphone and Cosmic Force together. Cosmic Force I have priced conservatively, given my concern about him repeating such a high mark 2 weeks running and on probably a drier track too. Happy to have Microphone equal with him because he is pretty foolproof, does nothing wrong, and yeah, probably the most reliable of the 2-year-olds we've seen. Tenley, next best, definite chance, rock solid chance in this race, drawn to get a good run with McDonald. Market's found it at $6, so probably not a great betting proposition for me at this point, but certainly in the race. Loving Gabby, as I outlined, is probably my roughy play in the race, if you like. I have projected her forward on the basis, on the grounds that I outlined earlier. But it is a bit speculative because she does have to make that improvement, and she will need a bit of luck in the run from the wideish gate. And Anna Heed, the other one I mentioned, yeah, 5th pick. I think she's over the odds. Probably tough for her to actually win the race, but I think she's overpriced. Certainly going exotics if you're taking them. At Yes, 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 who I'd love to have shorter. If he'd drawn a middle gate, I think he would have taken up a position. They might have even put the blinkers back on him. He trailed on blinkers before his first Sydney start. He just has not had any luck at the barrier draw, so I've had to push him out a bit. So that's my top 6. Hopefully this has been of some use. I'll be back next week with another feature race preview. We'll see what the most appropriate race is to preview and come up with that next week. And yes, I'll be back then. Thanks a lot.